No, I think it's fine. I think it's good. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second day of the 51st annual Raymond James Gasparilla Festival of the Arts. My name is Ashley Anderson, and I am a past president of the board of directors of the Art Festival and a longtime volunteer. And I thank you all for joining us this morning. I have Ann Marie Cianciolo to give a explanation about some of her work in the medium of jewelry. As you know, here at the Art Festival, we have lots of different artists with lots of different mediums. And we wanted to take these opportunities while we're virtual and staying safer at home to give an explanation of those artists' process. So Ann Marie, I'd love if you could introduce yourself, and then we're going to have a brief video showing a little bit more about your work.
My name is Ann Marie Cianciolo. I'm a jeweler. I've been making jewelry and doing art shows for about 23 years. So a long time. And I do mostly rings. I do a lot of sculptural rings and a lot of stacking rings, but my main focus is rings. I do other things like earrings and necklaces, but my main focus is rings.
Awesome. So we're going to watch a brief video kind of showing some of that work in physical form, and then we're going to have a nice chat with Ann Marie about the work that she has been creating for this art show. Yeah, and Ann Marie, if you want to describe the work as it comes up, please feel free to. We have your mic on and you're able to talk a little bit about this process that the viewers are watching.
This is a soldering video. This is just me soldering one of the rings. So I use a mini torch and then I hold it with the tweezers and I solder the pieces together. Usually all the little gold balls that I use are soldered on there individually. That tube coming down is the vent, and that brings all the fumes out.
And so literally the fumes of that process are going out of your studio and into that tube. I've never seen that done before. That's really cool.
Right. So it's so I get fresh air in the studio, and it's then I don't have to wear as much masks, and even though I do now, but then we don't have as much mask. This part is polishing. It's a finishing part of it. This is also finishing. This gets the high polish on the edges of the rings. So what I'm showing it is the basic bands, but usually there is a lot more going on it. Like that I add stones and I add bezels and I add a lot of birds and things on top that I solder on. But this is the basic process that every ring goes through. There's the soldering, the polishing, and then the high polish. This is polishing the inside of the ring to get that high polish finish on it, and which makes it comfortable to wear. This video is oxidizing it. So it's a solution of liver of sulfur. You throw a silver ring in and it turns it black immediately. You have to put it on in layers. So you put it in the solution, brush it with a brass brush, rinse it off, and then put it back in the solution. You do that about 4 or 5 times, and that builds up the layers slowly. So the liver of sulfur, so the black stays on there. And I use a lot of the oxidizing technique because I feel like that makes the gold pop and makes it really bright. So there's a lot of contrast then. And that's usually done, that's the last step that's done, is the liver sulfur and the turning it black. And it doesn't turn the gold black, it turns just silver black.
Interesting. So you're building up contrast with some of those processes as well as keeping it like kind of smooth and polished.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Ann Marie, how long have you been a part of the Gasparilla Festival of the Arts? That's something that I want to ask you first.
I've done it, I think 3 times. I did it when I first started doing shows, and then I've done it a couple times in between. The last couple of years, it's conflicted with something else, or I think it conflicted with my kids' schedule a few times with their soccer schedule, so I haven't been able to do it. So I do it when I can, or I apply when I can.
Yeah,
because I think it's a great festival.
But you said that overall, though, about over 20 years in the medium that you work in now. How did you get started, and where is this your first endeavor into the fine arts field, or did you have a different medium before? Tell me a little bit more about that origin story.
Well, I went to school for business and I took an art class and I decided, oh, this is fun. This is what I want to do. And one of my teachers was like, you should really go into art. And she really talked me into it. And when I told my dad, he was not happy. I think he threw a plate of pasta against the wall and freaked out. Like, no,
it's like every great creative, great story, though, is a little rebellion usually leads to some real great reward, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I started out doing graphic design in school, and then I realized, oh, I really hate computers. Yeah. So I took a jewelry class. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. Like the first time I soldered, I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I went from there. And after I graduated, I worked for a goldsmith for 4 years, and I learned all the shortcuts, all the technical things, how to set diamonds, how to do all of that. That was just invaluable for me to do this. I don't think I could have done it without it, because I know how things work and what's gonna fall apart and what's not gonna, because we did all repairs. So I knew how things work. And then so I start doing art shows, and that's what I really enjoyed doing. So hopefully they will come back and we'll be able to do them again.
Yeah, thank you. And we can chat more about that, our virtual format later, but it is our goal here at the Art Festival to make sure that artists are supported even in this time. So thank you for being a part of that. So what are some of these favorite pieces of yours? I mean, we saw in this case, mostly silver work. Is that what you spend most of your time in? And a mixing of metals, and what are some of your favorite ways to create these pieces?
I do a lot of casting, and I do a lot of casting natural forms. So I take flower buds and acorns and little things, and I make them into other things. And so my favorite pieces are the sculptural pieces that I make, because I really love sculpture, but I love sculpture that you can actually wear on your finger and see it and take it with you. And it's a part of you then. So that's my favorite thing, is the sculptural rings. So all the other rings that come out of that are from the sculptural pieces. So that all the bands are originated with the sculptural pieces.
I mean, I think that's so cool. And for all of you watching now, you can see here on the screen, this is Ann Marie's shop page on our EventMe, which is where you'll find all of the artist shops for the entire festival. That is open till March 21st. So you can look today and please support and purchase, but also you have some time if you like what you see and you want to think about it. Yeah, it is open, especially if you're thinking about gift giving. So we got to clear that as we're scrolling through some of your work, adding unique elements to the nature subject matter in regards to adding heels to the different characters. Can you tell me what was the inspiration behind heels on some of the birds and giraffes and other animal shapes?
Well, I really wanted to put a little sense of humor into jewelry, because most jewelry is so serious. And I think everything needs a little sense of humor, and everything needs to be a little bit lighter, and everything needs to put a smile on your face. So that was the whole idea of it. I think birds look like they should have high heels. I think they look silly when they're walking. And so that was my whole idea of it.
Okay. Let's hope to the internet gods for a moment that we're in good shape. And I apologize for the change, and I apologize to everybody watching. But the question that I have been asking, and I'm so excited to hear your answer, is related to the actual decisions about some of the design elements, particularly with the adding of things like heels to the actual animal subject matter.
So I'm not sure what you heard before. I don't know when it was cut off, but my whole idea was to add a little humor to jewelry, because jewelry is usually so serious. And I feel like that a little sense of humor is great for everybody, and something that's going to make you smile. And I think that giraffes, birds, they both look like they should be wearing high heels, because high heels are a little silly anyway.
are
Even though I
very
love
silly.
them.
I feel like that's something we don't get to wear very much right now because we're all at home. I don't, you have to retrain ourselves if you happen to be a heel wearer.
Right.
Right. So I mean, that's what's so fun. And has that style evolved over time? Is that something that as you learned more about your craft and honed it, did your style change and did you go to more representational things like you have now, or did you do more abstract work? How did your style evolve over those years?
I started out doing furniture with legs, like tables and armoires and things like that with ladies' legs.
That's
and
awesome.
then it evolved into doing the animals because I love animals. Like all the artwork that I purchased myself has animals in it. And I didn't realize it until someone's like, all the artwork that you buy has animals. I'm like, oh yeah. So I started out with the birds. I went to giraffes and whatever else feels like they could need a little high heels.
I love that. Do you think that, so you are not here, I mean, in sunny Florida right now, you are up in the great North in Wisconsin. So is some of that work, your work, is it influenced by where you reside and where you create?
I don't think so. I think doing art shows, I travel so much and I don't think that, I guess we're all influenced by where we live, but I don't feel like that's a huge influence, except that winters we're inside and I have a lot more time to work. It's not sunny and nice out, so I don't want to get outside. So that, I guess, is my influence. I'm inside working a little bit more than if it was nice out and sunny and I could go to the beach.
Yeah, true. But and so in this case, you spent most of your time when we're not in this situation. You do travel throughout the year to different shows, and in person, correct?
Right. Yeah, I travel to a lot of shows. What was that?
What time of year do you typically travel for work for these different art shows?
It starts in February with the Florida shows, and I go all the way through December.
Wow.
Usually there's just one in December, and that's in Chicago, which is kind of local for me, but still it's throughout the whole year.
Yeah, and so obviously this year has been a big change for you. How has the pandemic affected not only your industry, but also maybe how you create your work?
Well, I had a really hard time at first because I'm so used to a deadline, like, oh, there's a show coming up in 2 weeks. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. So it was a lot of like, oh, I don't have to get it done. And who's going to see this? Like in the beginning, I was like, well, why should I even make this? I'm not going to a show. So that's how it started. And then I was like, oh, now I have time to actually do those intricate pieces that I've always wanted to do, but never have time for. So I did a couple of those. And then it switched to, okay, what am I going to sell? Maybe I should make something that is lower priced and easy to make that I can sell online quick. And then it moved over to, I'm just going to do what I normally do and pieces that I love to do. And I really like making just the rings with the stones and all that stuff, because that is when you go back to what you really love, that is the stuff that sells because your heart is in it and people can notice that. So when you try to make something that sells, it never, ever works.
Really, that's such a good piece of advice. I feel like for those who are aspiring to be in this field is, speaking something that's true to you is often the best seller. And I want to remind everybody watching that our show is open and please browse Ann Marie's work and everything is available for purchase that you see with listings. And there's a lot of good ways to learn more about her. Now, in the case of this virtual format, we've worked really hard to try to make sure that it is showcasing the artist as much as possible during this unique time. How do you feel virtual shows will be in the future, or the future of shows in general? I think the benefit might be that we can reach a bigger audience by having some of these components online, as well as when we're able to be in person again. Have you seen that from other shows too?
I think this is just the start of it. So it's hard to tell right now. I personally don't feel like the virtual shows can replace the in-person shows at all, but it can be a good way to highlight a couple pieces, like not spend all that time to do a whole virtual show, but maybe highlight like a couple new pieces or something that will entice people to come, or go to your website. I think that would help a lot. But I don't think the virtual shows can replace in person at all for anyone, for the people that come and for the artists, because that human connection and talking to your customers and them talking physically to the artists is so important with what we do. But I think that I love that the shows are actually trying to do something to help us out right now.
Yeah, no, I think the silver lining we've learned is that having an online presence at some level builds accessibility for beyond our festival weekend, but that, yeah, we can't wait to be back in the festival weekend experience in the future. And Marie, you have been honing your craft, like we talked about earlier in the interview, for over 2 decades. What do you have advice for aspiring artists and even folks who maybe aren't just starting out as artists, but maybe they have a different career and they want to do more fine arts in the future?
I just feel like if it's something that you really want to do, you should keep doing it. And you should, it's hard work, but it's rewarding work. You know, when you finish a piece that you really wanted to do, it is so rewarding and it feels so good. And when somebody actually likes it and wants to buy it, it feels so good that you're making somebody else happy. Like when I make wedding bands, it just feels so good that somebody picked that out and they're going to wear it every day and look at it every day, and it has so much meaning to them. Like a lot of times art that you buy has a lot of meaning to you. So when you're starting out, you just have to do what's true to yourself and just keep working and just keep at it, because you will be able to get to the place that you want to go. It's just it's hard work, but it's rewarding work.
That's such an interesting point. I always find that fascinating with anything that's a wearable medium and what you just mentioned, the sentimentality of the fact that you're helping create something for someone that they're going to potentially wear every day of their life. I think that's such a unique part of at least the medium of jewelry making is that sentimentality. Do you have any unique stories about that? I mean, you mentioned wedding bands, but something special that really struck you when you created a piece for somebody?
I do a lot of wedding bands, and I do a lot of custom work. So a lot of people bring their old diamonds to me and they have me make something new for them. And some people even want to redo their wedding ring that they've bought 30 years ago and they just don't like the style anymore. So I just redo it for something fresh and fun, because it is something that they wear every day. And it is also something that they'll pass down to their kids. So I just love doing something like that has so much meaning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so interesting about any kind of wearable form of art is I feel very attached to the pieces that I have, and I feel like I'm wearing a part of the artist's vision. So I think that that's really what's so special about it. Is there any particular pieces you've been working on lately that you feel really speak to either not only you as an artist, but this past year?
Well, I've been trying to do a little different things. Like I've been working with bracelets that I've never done before. So I'm trying to do a little more sculptural bracelets and see how that works. I'm just trying to do something new.
Yeah.
And which is really hard, but I have time to do it. So that's what I'm trying to work on right now. So it's not anything specific. It's just something new and different.
And when it comes to this weekend and the next few weeks of our shop being open, artists or buyers can actually contact you as well and have a conversation with you about the pieces. It won't be in person, but you can certainly ask questions. You kind of welcoming some of those questions about the pieces.
Yeah, and I've done Zoom calls with customers too and showed them things that I have in stock, and that works great. So it's not in person, but it does help a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, because you can speak with them a little bit about the work itself, right?
Right. And you can have a conversation instead of like just email back and forth. You can see people's expressions and react to them.
And in regards to after this is over, we still want to make sure that people can find you. Where else can they find you beyond our art festival website and the EventMe shop site that we have now? How else can they find you on social media, on the internet?
I'm on Instagram, and I have my website is annsjewelry.com.
And is it same for Instagram? What is that Instagram handle?
Ann's Jewelry.
Jewelry. Awesome. I mean, that's all my questions that I have for you today. I don't know if we had any others from on the web. Just apologize for our technical difficulties, but I figured that was bound to happen. It is Sunday, you know, everybody's a little sleepy, including the internet. But Ann Marie, thank you so much for being a part of this. And thank you for being one of our artists at our art festival. And we could not be more grateful. And please, if you are watching, take a look at her shop and support Ann Marie's work, which is incredibly beautiful. Ann Marie, thank you. And stay, I guess in this case, stay warm because you are a little north than us.
Well, thank you. And thanks for doing this for the artists. Thanks for trying to help out.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good day.